What's good, y'all? This is my video discussion for Charlotte's Web and banned books. The first question is, please choose either Fern and Wilbur's friendship or Charlotte and Wilbur's friendship, and trace the way the females work to create safe places and how their endeavor to keep the charges safe changes over the course of the story. So, the friendship that I chose was Charlotte and Wilbur's, and the way I traced the females to work to create these safe places is, of course, by Charlotte creating these messages about Wilbur for everyone to notice the uniqueness and the value of this beautiful little runt of a pig. But then the next question is how their endeavor to keep the charges safe change over the course. I feel like they just stay strong. They don't lose focus. They just stay confident on where they're gonna get, and Wilbur's not gonna die at the end. So that's their base. They don't want Wilbur to die, and so they just keep pushing to make that happen. And so the next question is, how do the female key characters work to construct this safe place, and how do they maintain it? So I feel like they maintain it by using their imaginations and creativity to help Wilbur out, and they maintain it by continuing to believe in his value, and even when others do not. So then, what is Charlotte's message about how people live in their 60s? The message that I got is live life. Life is short and fragile, but that even small creatures like Wilbur can make a difference in the world. So I feel like that message just shows and proves that any type of small thing, the butterfly effect is real, and killing such small thing like a butterfly can affect the future in such a drastic way that it can just mess everything up and just destroy reality and completely. What are specific evidence from then the next question is, for what are other specific evidence from the story shows you what Charlotte thinks of humans? I got what Charlotte highly thinks about humans. She believes that they have the ability to appreciate and value the world around them. She shows this by working to create the safe place for Wilbur, and by interacting with the humans by making the messages in her webs, and makes them worthy of her attention and respect. Then the next question is, how do the human characters in the novel explain the writings in Charlotte's Web? So all of the characters like Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman and Mr. Arable and Mrs. Arable, they all thought they were like miracles, and like saying that these phenomenons are just basically just things that are happening out of nowhere, and they're just supposed to happen. Basically, they're miracles. And why do you think most of their attention goes to Wilbur instead of Charlotte? I feel like their attention goes to Wilbur is because Charlotte is basing the messages towards the pig. So instead of basing the messages with the spider, I feel like people are just going to focus on the bigger picture rather than the smaller one, which is wrong, because you got to look at the whole thing. I feel like you got to look at everyone's point of views, not just the pigs, because the messages are being based on the pig. Why did the spider web out those messages? That's what I feel like gets out of that. And how is time an important concept in this story? Time is a very important concept in the story, just because of the over time important stuff, Charlotte's Web argues that time never tarnishes the things that are truly significant in life. Next question is, what different cycles in time play a part in the story? The story is illustrated in the cycles of nature, so the unit focuses on helping students understand the life cycles of various species by relating to different characters from the story. So, like, how does, and then the second question about that to go with this is, how does this sort of concept help readers, especially young readers, organize the events in the story? So I feel like the way the novel was written, it just goes by step by step by step. So this happens, if this happens, this person can die, and it has this amount of time to live. That's where I feel like it comes apart, like in a life cycle. Everything comes apart, the teaching kids about a life cycle, about a certain species, like they said, is like the spider dies because it's a certain species by spinning out the web. So that's what's teaching the students to organize the events in the cycle. And of all the chapter books we've read together this semester, only Charlotte's Web and Winnie the Pooh can be considered true children's literature classics. What do you think makes these novels so appealing to children all these years after this publication? I feel like these novels are just very appealing to children, not even just children, to young teenagers, because their ages don't matter on the books. Honestly, they're well written books that you can really learn from just being an adult. Honestly, you learn everything every single day. You certainly learn something new every single day. And I feel like that's why it's just so good and it's appealing to these children. So it's good for kids to get into books like this, where it lets their imagination run wild and be able to do whatever they want within this book. Which brings me the next question of what makes Charlotte's Web stand out all this time. It's honest, and it's most importantly, it doesn't force the children to go with it. It doesn't force children to just stay in the lines of the story. It can let them just let their mind go about the story and let their mind just imagine like what can actually happen within the story. If even they were in this story, if they were in this situation in the story, what would they do in their situations? Then the next question is, Dave Pilkey's Captain Underpants series is loved by many children, though many parents have reservations about the books. Discuss your opinions on why these books are so popular among children and list of objections parents may have and whether you believe they are legitimate or and why. I've actually read a lot of Captain Underpants books, and I've actually seen the movie. I think there was one or two movies that they had about Captain Underpants, but I liked it. It's more of like a goofy. The books are more of a goofy and they're not explicit or nothing. It's a man that got trapped in underpants, and he was a very mean teacher, and something had happened to him where he just thinks he's a superhero, and now he has to go around the world and be a superhero and fight the villains in his underpants. And I feel like that's where teachers and probably parents are like, this is a grown man going into a school with in his underwear and letting kids watch this. This is absurd. It shouldn't happen, and things like this will never happen in real life. And I understand it's a kids show, it's a kids book, and I understand why they would say that. I understand why the objections to the book would be there happen, But I don't agree with him. I feel like kids are going to be kids and going to want, boys especially, are going to want weird books that they can just laugh about while reading. It's like a comic book. It's a pretty decent book in my opinion. But that's my video.